29-year-old Mary Mathis Davis was last seen at Lanier's Hardware in Lexington, North Carolina, where she worked on May 30th of 1987. She worked for a brief period before failing to return after her lunch break. The next day, investigators found her body behind a Winn-Dixie store on East Center Street. She had been strangled and assaulted. Mary's husband, Richard Davis, recalled the last time that he saw her. "I seen her that morning and I went to my sister's swimming, and when we came back, we thought she would be home from work by then," said Richard. Investigators collected DNA belonging to the culprit from Mary's body. The DNA only became useful recently with advancements in DNA technology. Othram Inc. used forensic evidence to identify Russell Grant Wood as the person that took Mary's life. The announcement was made on February 3rd of 2023. Russell Wood, who was a Lexington resident, passed away in 2013. Police said he did not have a previous record. Investigators said that Mary Davis and Wood were acquaintances but did not know each other well. Mary Davis's daughter, Tracy Cleary, was 1 year old when her mother's life was taken. "I've always heard that she was kind and sweet, and that she had a lot of patience, and she just liked people," said Cleary. She said she is relieved by the department's discovery because it brings closure and clears her father's name. "I think it was more relief that all these things my whole life that I maybe have thought about or what it could be, it was all proven," said Cleary. Police said they don't know what Wood's motive would have been, but if he was still alive, he would definitely be charged with taking Mary's life, kidnapping her, and assaulting her. On January 17th of 2013, Trina Butler-Turner was reported missing in East St. Louis, Illinois by her relatives after she was last seen getting into a red pickup truck. 40-year-old Trina was a mother of 3 and had previously worked as a housekeeper. For many years, Trina's family and friends wondered what had happened to their loved one. Then, on December 5th of 2022, skeletal remains were discovered in a wooded area along Route 111 in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. DNA samples were extracted and sent to be tested. 2 days later, DNA confirmed the remains belonged to Trina Butler-Turner. It was also determined that she had been strangled and beaten. Then, on February 2nd of 2023, charges were announced against 55-year-old Roger Sutton Jr. and his nephew, 32-year-old Nathan Bayer. Both men were charged with the concealment of a body. Sutton Jr. was also charged with taking Trina's life. The relationship between Trina and the men is not yet known. Investigators have also not made public what led them to Sutton Jr. and Bayer. Madison County State's Attorney Thomas Hayne said Trina was a beloved daughter and a mother. She was last seen 10 years ago when her family reported her missing, Hayne said. But today, we can now say, due to extraordinary police work, we have found Trina's body, and we believe her life was taken, and we believe we found those responsible. The investigation is still ongoing. Anyone with information should contact the Pontoon Beach Police Department at 618-931-5100. 40-year-old Julie Carol Jensen lived in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin in 1998. She lived with her husband, Mark Jensen, and their 2 children. Mark and Julie met in 1981 while she was working at a Sears department store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. They were both students at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside in Kenosha. The couple moved to the Carroll Beach neighborhood of Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and had 2 children, David and Douglas. By 1998, Julie worked a part-time job for the Port Authority in Chicago, while Mark was employed as a branch manager of the Racine, Wisconsin branch of a St. Louis-based financial firm. On December 3rd of 1998, Mark contacted law enforcement and claimed that Julie passed away in her sleep. Investigators discovered traces of ethylene glycol in her system. Ethylene glycol is a hard-to-detect poison found in antifreeze. Police then found a letter Julie wrote before she met her end. This is what was written in the letter. "I took this picture, and I am writing this on Saturday, November 21st, 1998 at 7 a.m. This list was in my husband's business daily planner. Not meant for me to see. I don't know what it means, but if anything happens to me, he would be my first suspect. Our relationship has deteriorated to the polite, superficial one. I know he's never forgiven me for the brief affair I had with that creep 7 years ago. Mark lives for work and the kids. He's an avid surfer of the internet. Anyway, I do not smoke or drink. My mother was an alcoholic, so I limit my drinking to 1 or 2 a week. Mark wants me to drink more with him in the evenings. I don't. I would never take my life because of my kids. They are everything to me. I regularly take Tylenol and multivitamins, occasionally take over-the-counter stuff for colds, Zantac, or Imodium, have 1 prescription for migraine tablets, which Mark uses more than I. I pray that I am wrong and nothing happens, but I am suspicious of Mark's suspicious behaviors and fear of my early demise. However, I will not leave David and Douglas, my life's greatest love, accomplishment, and wish. My 3 Ds, Daddy, David, and Douglas. Julie's family and loved ones remember her gentle, carefree, and easygoing nature. She was described as warm, caring, and sincere, who was somewhat quiet but enjoyed being with people. The following decade, investigators tried to build a concrete case against Mark Jensen. A lengthy trial then ensued. In 2008, Special Prosecutor Robert Jambois contended that Mark Jensen poisoned his wife with ethylene glycol and then suffocated her while she was barely breathing in their marital bed on December 3rd of 1998. Defense counsel Craig Albee argued that Julie Jensen was a depressed woman who took her own life and framed her husband. Moreover, Julie had seen a therapist at least 3 times for depression. Evidence was introduced showing that Mark Jensen had discussed poisoning his wife with coworkers and a jailhouse associate. Going through his home computer, evidence was found that he searched on the internet for information relating to poison. The letter that Julie wrote was the critical factor in the trial that ended on February 22nd of 2008. The jury found 48-year-old Mark Jensen guilty after more than 30 hours of deliberations. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. On December 9th of 2013, a federal judge overturned Jensen's conviction and ordered he be released from prison within 90 days. The court agreed with Jensen's argument that the state's use of his deceased wife's words violated his constitutional rights to confront witnesses testifying against him. 63-year-old Mark Jensen stood for trial a second time starting on January 9th of 2023. He was found guilty on February 1st, 2023. Mark Jensen, who now faces life in prison, will be sentenced April 14th of 2023. He remained expressionless when the verdict was read.